Welcome to the Model Health Show. This is fitness and nutrition expert Shawn Stevenson here with my beautiful co-host and skilled producer, Jade Harrell. What's up, Jade?
What's up, Shawn?
How are you this lovely day?
I am one-inspired.
One-inspired?
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Wonderfully inspired by our guest today and you.
Oh, look, I love that. Blended together,
Yeah.
put us, I love
That's
it.
a fun one to say, though. That's like
Yeah.
an oral thing, one-inspired.
Oral B.
Yeah.
Brush your teeth with that. I love it. Awesome. We've got a wonderful show lineup for you guys, a very, very special guest coming on. And we're going to talk about just all kinds of good stuff. Some fitness stuff, some success, kind of body image stuff, because all of it matters. You know, you're a whole entity. There's not a segment of you that matters more than another. You know, so we need to pay equal attention to our own personal self-worth and our value, as well as the fitness endeavors and the exercise and the nutrition and all that stuff. Everything matters, you know, so, and this is the real root of kind of the word holistic, which I'm not a big fan of that word now because it's kind of been, you know, drugged through the mud. It really means whole, the whole thing, you know, all of you. So all of you matters. And so we're going to dive into all that stuff. And we've got she's so good. She's so good. So first, let's go ahead and give a huge shout out to our show sponsor, Onnit.com. Head over to ONNIT/model for 10% off all of your health and human performance supplements. Huge fans of the Hemp Force protein.
And I love Choco Maca.
Choco Maca. Say it.
Choco Maca. Choco Maca.
My favorite is the vanilla acai is my favorite. And not only does it taste amazing, that's great. That's a wonderful cherry on top. But the reality is we need a protein that's bioavailable, that you can actually utilize, because it's not you are what you eat, it's you are what you assimilate. All right, so hemp protein contains edestin and albumin as well, which is a soft globular protein. It's very, very digestible by the human body. Edestin is probably the most usable protein structure for the human body, and it's found uniquely in hemp. Is that an accident? I don't think so. You know, so this is just giving you the opportunity to upgrade your protein supplement, you know, rather than just going the standard way. That's a double, it's W-A-Y and W-H-E-Y. You see how I did that, right? Instead of going the standard way, try hemp protein, and not just any hemp protein, because if you go and try your luck, just go to the local 5 and dime store. They don't have 5 and dimes anymore. I don't know why I said that. But you go to the local 5 and dime or Whole Foods, you know, or Whole Paycheck. And you go there and you grab any kind of random hemp protein, and then you try it, and then you're going to be mad at me because you're like, he said it tastes delicious.
Right.
I said Hemp Force tastes delicious.
Exactly.
Not any standard hemp protein. So do yourself a favor, try that Hemp Force protein. They've also got some wonderful green superfood blends, like Earth Grown Nutrients is their product there. They've got the Shroom Tech Sport, which is my pre-workout. So many awesome things. Head over there and check them out, Onnit.com/model. Now let's get into the iTunes review of the week.
Well, I love this one. It's a 5-star rating that's called A Real Game Changer by Tyler Hoffman. This podcast is truly one of the few that I have listened to that has changed my life. Shawn truly knows what he's talking about and explains complex topics in an easy to digest way. He has inspired me to follow my dreams as well as show me the way to turn my health around and become the best version of myself. Although I haven't reached my goals quite yet, I know the information that I've gleaned from this magnificent duo will get me there. You really owe it to yourself as well as everyone you know to listen to this podcast and share the information he provides.
Awesome. Wow. We're a duo. The best duo or group goes to. I love it. I love that. Thank you so much. Truly, truly do appreciate that. And everybody, thank you so much for sharing. And now let's go ahead and get into our show topic and special guest. Just a little sidebar. You guys probably noticed that my voice is still on that Barry White right now. I'm still getting my voice back. We actually did 2 shows today. And so our show, which you guys are actually going to be hearing a week later, our earlier show from the week previous was with Gretchen Rubin, which was a fantastic show. But today, this show, I feel is going to be even funner. More fun.
More fun.
Right? Because we've got on the amazing Chalene Johnson is in the house. If you even type like CH into Google, like her name comes up, right? Because she is super popular. And I'm going to read her bio for you guys. So she's a motivational speaker, New York Times bestselling author, and fitness celebrity. True word, celebrity. She's the first female to host 2 #1 infomercials, and Chalene has sold over 10 million DVDs. She's built and sold several multi-million-dollar fitness and lifestyle companies, and she's the CEO of business and lifestyle coaching company that she calls Team Johnson, where she has taught her personal and business development systems to hundreds of thousands of people. And I'm bringing this up, and I wanted to make sure that I say this in her bio, is the fact that, again, this is not just about the fitness component. This is also about success, and having your finances together, because your financial health is also important in your overall well-being.
Yeah.
So just to kind of cut some of this a little bit short, because there's so much to say about her. She's a powerhouse. I mean, period, end of story. To say she knows a little bit about some fitness stuff is an understatement. She's actually in the Guinness Book of World Records for being in the most fitness videos, right? Just like if you got some stuff in your cabinet there, or in your little DVD deck as far as home fitness, she's got something to do with a lot of them. And she's just an amazing person. I'd like to welcome to the Model Health Show, Chalene Johnson. How you doing today, Chalene?
What's up? I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. I'm really excited.
Oh, man, it's so my pleasure. So my pleasure. You're an amazing person. And
thank you.
Just to share with everybody, I know this firsthand how amazing she is. She is always looking to help. Me and her, we had a call, just maybe it was like 2 weeks ago. I don't know. But it was recently. And I was just sharing some things going on with me. She immediately jumped into coaching mode and started to help me, which is rare in my life, that because I'm usually the person that people look to for that advice, you know? And so to have somebody just kind of outwardly wanting to help me and find strategies really just spoke to my heart. And I think she's an amazing person. So
thank
Chalene,
you.
for the people who don't know you, which is like, there's like 5 people left.
All right.
No, but for everybody out there, can you just share a little bit about your superhero origin story and how you even got into the fitness, into the success?
Sure, I'd be happy to. First of all, like when I hear someone introduce me like that, it gives me anxiety. Like it makes me nervous because I forget that you're talking about me. And to hear those kind of accomplishments, if I heard them about someone else, it would make me feel like nervous and anxious, like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing all those things. And then I realize I'm like, oh, I did those things. So I just want to say to everybody, especially moms and new business owners, that it always sounds like a lot, you know what I mean? But hello, I've been at this for 25 years. I didn't do it all at once. It's all like one little tiny step at a time. And you just keep building up those blocks. And there are no superpowers. There aren't, it's just perseverance and making mistakes and learning from them and moving forward and learning from people and being open-minded and open-hearted and true to yourself. So I always like to say that after someone reads my bio, because I'm like, what, did I do that? No wonder I need Botox. Like, it's like a lot, but not all at once. And it's funny, some of the things that are an accolade, like it's, things that other people would aspire to do, I would never do them again. And they were painful. And there was a cost. So I just always say that because I want people to know there's like the highlight reel and then there's the behind the scenes,
Right. Absolutely. I think just yesterday I saw Gary Vaynerchuk and he posted maybe the day before a video reel of him playing basketball with some friends. And it's just like, they've got this like really cool music. Everybody's hitting shots, doing dope things. And then the next day, or maybe it was several hours later, he posted the misses, and it had that song, which has been playing in my head this morning. So I'm bringing this up. We're playing basketball, right? So that song is playing and they're just
save that voice, Shawn.
Everything is a brick, right? I'm going to save that. So my what is it called when you hit the high notes?
Falsetto.
My false. That's my false, but you got to abbreviate that, my falsy. So, it's really sharing all of that. And that's why I really love you, because you are unafraid to share the reality, and it makes everything so much more approachable. So just thank you for being awesome. So with that said, all right, now I actually do want to know some of the like nuts and bolts.
Sure.
How did you get from, I think you were like in some law stuff and then you kind of got into, so share a little bit about that.
So like most people, you go to school and you think of what it would be like to be fill in the blank, and it seems like a great career. I wanted to be a lawyer. I decided I wanted to be a lawyer because I didn't get good grades, but I was good at debate. I was good at being a know-it-all, and I could win an argument. So I'm like, well, that's like a good career then, wouldn't it be? And plus, I thought it would be cool to be a lawyer, not because that was my life's passion, but because I thought it would make me seem more important if I could say I was a lawyer. And so I started off, at Michigan State and moved to Southern California with my husband, was studying for the LSAT, was working as a paralegal. And for fun, after and before work, I would do some personal training because I was in California and I was from Michigan, and nobody in Michigan was going to pay you to count their reps. Like no one had a personal trainer back then, right? And even though Detroit hustles harder, but I suddenly moved out to Southern California. I'm like, people will pay me to help get them in shape, and I didn't have a certification. I just knew how to make it fun. Yes. And so I started doing that, and it was fun. And I quickly realized, like, dude, I don't want to, if that, looking at like the top lawyers in my firm, I'm like, they're here on the weekends. They're here after 5 p.m. They never leave. They look so unhealthy. And when they do leave, it's to go have a few cocktails. And most of them are divorced. And I'm like, I do not want this life. Like the top dogs in this firm, I do not want that life. I got to get out of here. And I just decided I would solve a problem in fitness. So I was also teaching fitness classes at the time. And that seemed like a losing proposition. Like you almost make barely minimum wage and you'd have to like buy music and mix it and cut it up and create this perfect class. And you'd spend hours to do this workout that sometimes was a hit, sometimes was a miss. But it was a lot of investment of time and money for very little financial return. And I thought, well, I'm going to look at the jazzercise model because my mom had taught jazzercise. And I'm like, it was so easy for her. She just popped in I think they're called beta tapes or VHSs at the time. You just pop in a tape and you learn the routine, and then you could do what you're good at, which is being you. And so I'm gonna create something like that, not intending it to be my future or my business, just like solving my own problem. And by that time, it was probably my second or third business. Before that, I was in the automotive. I had an automotive company called All Michigan Auto Swap Meet, again, solving a problem of mine, which was flipping used cars. So I was just, the only plan was let's just solve another problem.
Yeah.
And that was the one that really took off. And it turned into very quickly, really related to timing. It was good timing. Yeah. And my husband and I started this company where we certified fitness professionals from around the globe. And before long, we were in like 60 different countries and had tens of thousands of fitness instructors who were enrolled in this continuity program where every month they got a new routine and music. And eventually that developed into an apparel company. And so we had fitness apparel and the certification company. And that caught the attention of infomercial companies because they knew we had these golden before and afters. Like in all businesses, testimonials are the key, right? And so we had just years of really awesome testimonials. And so that lent itself very well to getting an infomercial.
Wow, such a great story. And there's so much in there, that we could dive into. But I really want to focus now on like, there's so many things also that we could talk about. And by the way, a lot of this other stuff, when it comes to business or relationships or health, Chalene talks about on her show from her perspective as well, the Chalene Show. So definitely check that out on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. But today, she was kind enough to say, let's talk about finding your soulmate workout. That's one of the first things we're going to talk about. And we're also going to talk about some other stuff. But for the guys out there, who are like, soulmate workout, I want a cellmate workout.
That too.
But it's really about understanding, like even the hardest core guys ever, we all have had that experience of having that love in our life and feeling like, we found our soulmate. And I remember talking with my friend Daniel Vitalis, and he said that it's really interesting how, when you find your soulmate, when you're in high school, right? And it's just like your soulmate, they just so happen to live in your city, in your town, and they just so happen to go to the same school as you. How lucky are you?
Right.
But the reality is, I personally feel that you don't necessarily have to have one soulmate.
Right.
And it's really understanding that proximity is power as well. Because what you are around and what you have access to, there's so much there. These are like first world problems we're talking about here. We've got access and flexibility and so many gifts that we can be utilizing. It's just a matter of kind of shifting some things in our mindset. And that's really what I want to talk about. So what is a soulmate workout and how do we actually find ours so we can have that love for working out?
Well, Shawn, I love the analogy that you just made to your high school soulmate, which is so funny, right? I don't know about you, but thank God I didn't marry one of the guys I thought was my soulmate. OMG.
Right.
So I won't even go there. But but the point is, it's kind of a good thing though, because once you've fallen in love, you know what that feels like, and you want it again, and yet, you know, that first person you fall in love with who you think is your soulmate, there's also some things where you're like, well, that was great and I felt amazing, but there were these problems, or eventually I outgrew this person. So when I say soulmate workout, I'm talking to people who haven't yet fallen in love with a particular workout. If you've never fallen in love, then you don't love exercise. Then you view exercise, like most people do, as a punishment or as a means by which to lose weight, or something I'm supposed to do, that I feel bad if I don't do it. And so it's a shift in mindset, and it's a subtle shift, but it has to do with the centers of our brain that produce dopamine. And that's that feeling you get when you fall in love, even if the person's bad for you. Like it gives you this like high, and you can't help but talk about them, and you can't wait to see them again. And you can't wait to buy new clothes because you can't wait for them to see you in those clothes. And that's how a workout can be, where you're like, ooh, these shoes would be great for cycling. And I'm telling everyone about this new workout that I'm doing. That's when you know you've found a soulmate. And I think it's really important for people to start with a soulmate. Once you've found a soulmate, as you've said, then you're like, okay, I know that feeling, and I know what I'm looking for in my next lover, if you will, or in my next crush. And so you're looking for that thing, and that's exciting. And then exercise becomes something that's a reward.
Yes, it's so important. And just that little distinction in our mindset about having our exercise be like a punishment or a reward is so powerful, because a lot of people, they literally are beating themselves up with exercise because they feel like they have to, and it's a punishment. And this is kind of getting away from the point. And I like to just kind of refer people back to the original context of the word exercise itself, which really is derived from the word exorcism, right? Which means to get the stuff out of you, right? So it's a critical component of like detoxification and just helping your body to do normal processes. Like if you're not exercising and moving your body, you start to become like this walking, talking like bag of goo, right? And so exercise is like something essential for all of us. But in today's environment, we absolutely have to have strategies to fall in love with it, like you said. And I think that you just brought something up, which is the fact that we can have strategies to help to kind of cultivate and make that happen.
Yes.
So how do we do that, Chalene? Well,
I think the first thing is, especially for those people who are listening who they don't know what we're talking about. And there's a good portion of the population who they don't mind exercise, but they're not in love with it. I am legitimately in love with it. Like, I mean, true confession, we had our interview scheduled today, and I was like, but wait, that means I'm going to have to shorten my workout. Can we push it back? Because normally I don't start until later in the day. And that is not because of weight loss. It's not because of abs. It's not because of an upcoming shoot. Like, I never do anything differently if I have a shoot coming up. It's like, this is what you get, because I don't want to give you false advertising. And that's, I think, one thing that's kind of different about me in exercise videos is you're going to be like, she looks kind of normal. And that's because I'm not going to diet down to be like a weight that I can maintain for a week and a half. You know, I mean, when you run into me, I don't need you to go, whoa. That's not how you looked in your video. So I don't diet. I want you to know, like, this, I don't do it for the physical reasons. I do it for mental health. I do it for me. I do it for the high. I do it for the creativity. I do it for the release. It is a joy to me. But when I'm speaking to people who have a negative connection with exercise, it 90% of the time stems back to an early experience in their life where exercise is related to a time when they felt less than, not as good as, not capable of. It was embarrassing. It was demeaning. It was, if nothing else, they just felt like, I'm not good at this and everyone else is, so I don't like it. Or their first experiences in getting back into it, they pick something that's like way too flippin' hard. You know, they have these incredible expectations for themselves. And then again, you feel like a failure. And so it's just like, I guess, I don't know, because I've been married to the same man for 20 years, but I assume that it would be like getting back out into dating. and you wouldn't want to, just go out to the bars the first weekend. You just have to go slow and look around and write down on paper what it is you're looking for. So I tell people, when you're looking for a soulmate workout, do this with me. Think back on a time when you were moving. Don't think of exercise. Just think of a time when you were active.
Yes.
And you felt amazing. What's really weird for me is just now when I just said that, I thought back on a time, and I was probably in 6th grade, and I did a lip sync competition, and I was like dancing to a Pat Benatar song. I swear to God, first time ever, that just came in my head. I'm like, that kind of explains a lot. So for me, I need to feel, I don't know why, but when I'm exercising, I need to feel like it's my performance. Like, it's got to be movement based. There's got to be super loud music. I have to feel like I'm giving a concert. I know this sounds strange, but so that I needed to feel. And that's why I created my first program, Turbo Kick, because it felt like I was on MTV. There was like music and sound effects and dance and hip hop, and at the same time kickboxing, and I just felt like a badass. Like it just was this amazing feeling, right? And that allowed me to experiment with running, which felt like punishment.
Yes.
But I would have never, if I just gone back into running, I would have never fallen in love, because I wasn't ready yet for running. I needed something that made me feel that. So I ask everyone right now to just think back on a time. What were you playing basketball with your friends? Were you hiking? Were you riding a bike? Were you dancing by yourself? Were you playing tennis? What were you doing? Were you skiing? What were you doing that you felt? Was it because you felt free? What was it about that time? And so, Shawn, can I ask you?
Absolutely.
When was the time in your youth where you're like, this, I feel amazing?
It's so interesting because I'll tell you at the end here, but why this is so amazing. But for me, what came up was 15, 16 years old, and I'm with my one good friend when I was a kid at this time, and we were at the basketball courts, and nobody was there at this time, and we were just trying to touch the rim, practicing trying to touch the rim. And at this point, on this particular day, was when I could get over it pretty good, And so this rim was 2 inches below regulation, right? So we found some little tennis balls or something. So we're dunking tennis balls and just on top of the world, feeling amazing. And what's so amazing about this is I just replicated this last night with my son. When I got home from work, my son, Jordan, who's 14 years old, there's a little kid across the street, he has this basketball hoop, and I saw it was probably 9 feet-ish. And I'm like, have you dunked on this? He's like, I can't. And I was like, go get the little ball from the house, And then
so can I tell you some things I picked up from that?
Sure.
And so I want everyone else to answer this question for themselves. The thing that came up for you, were you alone?
Good point.
Were you with a couple of people?
Right.
Were you with a group? Were you a part of a team? So that's the first thing you want to write down. So when I think about when I felt amazing, I wasn't a part of a team. And I wasn't competing. So competition for me brings up negatives because I was never the first. I was always trying really hard not to be last, Yeah. And I was cut from the basketball team. So team stuff or competition, I'm like, no. I don't. That's why CrossFit would be a terrible fit for me because I don't want to compete with you. Yeah. I'm running my own race.
Yes.
I need to win my division, and so the only way I can do that is by being the only one in my division.
Yeah.
So think back for yourself and say, was I alone? Was I by myself? Was I with just a couple of other people? So for you, Shawn, I see that it wasn't in front of a crowd. You weren't a part of a team, but there was a little bit of competition, or at least a measure there. So you measure, and it seems to me that part of that was you also wanted to feel successful. And that's why you said to your son, grab a tennis ball, let's do this,
Yeah. So it's partially, you just hit it right on the nose, but it's also partially for me, because now I'm seeing through your lenses now at this situation. It's so awesome. You're so awesome. Which is there's this camaraderie thing as well. So even though it's a little competition, we're going to see who's better on this day. With the same time, we're still encouraging each other and watching each other, and
that
saying you could do this, right?
Absolutely.
And so, that stuff does really matter to me.
What about music?
Music?
Yeah, so that's another thing I tell people is okay, so when you think about feeling amazing and moving, some people feel they see an athletic scene, and some people hear music, and so you just have to close your eyes and say, when I think about myself moving and feeling amazing, is there music playing? Because that's important. Whatever you step back into and you look to fall in love with, music is either very, very important or it's too much. And for some people, it brings up a negative because it reminds them of like a school dance or the fact that they weren't very coordinated, but they were athletic. And so you just have to close your eyes and tap back into where exercise, where movement produced dopamine for you, and then recreate that and just go on a date. Just go on a date. So your date was with your son last night. Like you were kind of experimenting with that. And for someone who maybe a memory came back to you and you felt amazing, find an exercise, a type of movement. It doesn't even have to be exercise, some type of activity that seems relatively similar, and go on a date with that activity.
Absolutely. And you're affirming something, and I was actually wanting to do a show to kind of talk about this, is just kind of giving yourself permission to do the thing you want to do. Stop making excuses, which is, for me, I really love playing basketball.
That's so cool.
And these little small things. They even talked about Gary Vaynerchuk earlier on, that whole, basketball thing. So I don't feel that this is an accident, even for me having this experience last night. I'm one of those people where I'm very analytical and science-minded, but coincidences, there's more to it than that, So
I agree.
This is just leaning towards the fact that I'm going to start playing basketball more, definitely playing more with my son, and just having a good time doing that as my, quote, cardio, because it really is. It's a great form of HIIT training.
It is, absolutely.
So,
heck yeah, dude, for real. That's all HIIT training. But the other thing I tell people to do is to not set like outrageous expectations. Just go and to experience it. Don't feel like you need to be the best. Like I always say, if you're going to go take a class, prepare yourself to be successful. Know what people are going to be wearing, where you can sit. Like, check it out. The more you are aware of what's going to happen, the lower your anxiety level will be. I'm always surprised because I still teach fitness classes when someone will go, "Oh, I brought my friend today." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." And I'll say to their friend, "Did she tell you what we're going to be doing?" And they're always like, "No." And I'm like, that's so rude. Like, you're going to just bring somebody in so you look amazing, and they have no idea the lingo and what to wear and where to stand. And like, so do that for yourself and do some research. What does it look like? Watch some videos online. What kind of shoes should I be wearing? And I like to try new things. And I 2 winters ago decided I love snowboarding and I love skiing, but I decided that I would try cross-country skiing. And I'm like, those people are ripped. That must be a really good workout. And it's kind of like running. So I'm going to go try it. But I didn't do my research. So I showed up in my snowboarding apparel, which is like big, heavy, giant, like men's jacket and big. I totally looked like a State Puff Marshmallow Man. Like, and I could barely move. And I had like like everything was wrong. I had the wrong goggles, the wrong hat, the wrong jacket, the wrong everything. So I already felt like a loser. I'm a fitness professional, right? And I should be able to, and I'm super coordinated. And I felt like a loser. I'm like falling over in the tracks, and like little kids are passing me. I'm just sweating like profusely. I'm like, I hate this so much. It was probably the best workout of my life, but I just felt like a loser. And if I just like done a little bit of research, if I just gone on to YouTube and watched a video, I probably would have enjoyed myself and maybe done it again. But I totally had humiliated. Like people were like trying to like lift me up out of the tracks. So do the research before you go and try the workout. Set your expectations in a place where it's reasonable, and just know that you're going for the experience. You're not going to be the best. You're not going to master it on day one. Just go and experience it. And then rather than remembering how you felt in the middle of the workout, ask yourself and make a note in a journal or on your phone of how you felt after the workout.
Yes, so good. Chalene, if there's nothing else there's so much great stuff to take away from that guy. So really, really take that in. But if there's nothing else you want to add to that, let's go ahead and shift gears here and talk about another really important, valuable topic that you have some insight on, which is falling in love with yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that this is definitely a challenge for the vast majority of us, because we are in a society that conditions us to not really understand our value, and once you can tap into that just genuine self-love and admiration for how valuable you are, and just understand that you matter, it really turns the corner in your life as far as you being able to be of service, and as far as you being able to just be happy. So we can do a whole show on this, and I know that we're definitely going to do some more stuff together, but just let's talk about this.
Sure. I think it's a huge challenge for a lot of people. I love to talk to the parents right now and say, yo, this starts with you, whether you like it or not. Like how you treat your children, how you speak to yourself goes right into their pores. And the things sometimes that we say in jest, like I just got off of Facebook and I was looking at some posts from people on my page, and one woman commented, I am thin, but every single day I look at myself in the mirror with disgust, because from the time I can remember, as early as I can go back, I remember my mother looking in the mirror and saying to the mirror, her reflection, "You are a fat cow. Look at this." And she said, I just always remember her hating her image. And so even though I know I'm not overweight, even though I logically know I'm beautiful, I feel like I'm disgusting, because that's what I always heard my mother say about herself. So I just have to say this to the parents, like they hear everything you say. You should never speak to children about their weight, ever, never, never. You can disagree with me if you want. I think it's wrong on any level. I don't care if your child is obese. Don't talk to them about their weight. It will not help. Yeah. And I'm so passionate about this. Why? Because I get thousands of letters from people who are destroyed by what might seem like a simple comment to a child that defines them, and it carries with them the rest of their lives. And so I plead with people never to talk to their children about their weight or their bodies, for that matter. Like kids even know what you mean when you say things like, "Oh, that's not right for your body type." Or your sister can wear that, but you probably shouldn't. They know what that means. Yeah. So, that unconditional love, it starts with mom and dad, our caregivers. Some people don't even have the opportunity to be living with their parents, but they're living with a caregiver, and it's hard. But that's where it starts. Okay, now we're adults. Now what do we do, Chalene? Well, if you didn't have a great start, then you have to erase those tapes, because so much of the self-loathing that we have and doubt that we have wasn't ours. We weren't born with it. Someone implanted it. Someone told us those things, and despite all the evidence to the contrary, we hold on to those lies, those untruths, those stories other people told us. And so if I can share with you what I think is the quickest and the fastest and the most absolute way to fix that.
Yes, that's what we want.
Absolutely.
Therapy. You got to go to therapy. Like, what's the big deal? Like, you go get your tooth fixed. Why would you not get your brain fixed? Like, your friend is not capable. Your husband, your spouse, your best girlfriend is not equipped to handle your past. They're just not. And so if you want to get past your past, invest in therapy. That's what I'm going to say. And I think it's like last night, my daughter said to me in the kitchen, she goes, "Mom, has everyone you hang out with, has everyone gone to therapy?" I'm like, if they're cool. Because that, and I said, and everyone in our family has except her. So I guess we better send her, because she's feeling a little left out at the moment. But because I care about your brain and I want you to process these things with the help of someone else. So that's number one. Number two is, if you're not going to do that, it scares you, which is why most people won't go to therapy. They're like, I have this under control, and I'm not going to open up that can of worms. I got this. And they're like white knuckling it, right? So then the other alternative you have is to remove those thoughts from yourself, those negative thoughts that are not true, by paying attention to the evidence. There's evidence there to the contrary, but we look for the evidence that supports the negative, right? And so you've got to do things like when I say, what's the cruelest thing you think about yourself? And I just ask everyone to just take a moment, and I'm not going to ask you to say it out loud, but I want you to think about the cruelest comment that you repeatedly say to yourself. And now you have to think about, okay, what evidence do I have to the contrary? Because we all do. But we don't save that evidence. It's funny, like when something supports that negative comment, we're like, I got it. I'm going to store it right here in the front of my head, and I'm not going to think about anything else. I mean, you know this, Shawn, because of the level of notoriety you have, people can comment on one of your podcasts or on a Facebook thread, and there'll be, 400 amazing comments. And then there's like one person, and that's the one we obsess about. And the reason why we do this is because our brains are our brain's job is to protect us. Yeah. Right. So it's like, we're, for whatever reason, that's why we look for negative/danger, right? Like, so we can scan the horizon and see if there's a lion running at us. And so it's a natural instinct to look for bad. But if we're going to change the way we feel about ourselves, it starts by seeing the evidence and to learn not to reject compliments and to write them down and to save them, because it's counterintuitive, but it's what we have to do to start. And the word like loving yourself, I don't know, like I'm always like, that feels so corny to say, but it is the truth.
Yeah.
And for those people out there who are parents, you better love yourself, because if you don't, your children will not love themselves. And I hope that's a motivator.
It most certainly is.
Super powerful stuff. There's a lot that came up there, and for everybody, it's just, I think that it's probably the most paramount work that we do, because it just kind of filters down into everything else in our lives, and understanding our value, and just kind of even taking some of these strategies and insights, because here's the reality of the situation is that our brains are actually hardwired. This is a evolutionary advantage to look for problems, like you said, and it's for our survival and for our continued growth as a species, so it's going to be looking for problems, but also it knows how to notice good, and those good things help to encourage us to do more of that, right? And less of the other. So today, especially when we have so much coming at us, we've got to just kind of take our mind and point it on the things that we want. We've got to just be more proactive. And I think it just starts with awareness that we can actually do that.
That's right. That's right. Well, I think we all know that we can do it. I think for many people, it's a fear of the worst case scenario that keeps us stuck. And when we are avoiding doing certain things that might otherwise create evidence, we don't do those things because we think, well, what if it's more evidence to support the fact that no one likes me? What if it's more evidence to support the fact that I'll always be overweight or that I will be rejected? And one of the things I believe is paramount in building confidence, which leads to self-worth, right? A couple of things. Number one is when we do for others, that you can't not feel good about yourself when you're doing nice things for others, except when you're doing nice things for others to your detriment.
Right.
Like that ain't cute.
Excellent.
So it's like you're doing things for others, not because you want to be liked, but because it's right. It feels good. And it's part of who you are. And then the next piece is that you need more evidence. And the only way you're going to get evidence is by going out and collecting it and collecting evidence to the contrary. So for example, if in your mind you think to yourself, when I meet people, they see me as socially awkward and I'm not good in social settings. And so I am not going to parties. I'm not going to social events. I'm not going to put myself out there because I'm judged and I don't like that feeling and people can tell I'm nervous and I'm shy. Well, you've got to create evidence to the contrary. And so you have to learn how to make other people feel more comfortable in that moment and just have brief little quick successes where you're going to the grocery store and you think to yourself, I'm going to have an interaction with a kid who's bagging my groceries and I'm going to make him feel like $1 million. I'm going to ask him just a couple of questions and I'm going to listen to what he says. And that's all I'm going to do. And I'm going to notice that I just had an interaction with a stranger and they weren't thinking about me. They realized I was listening to them. So it's teaching people then to take note of that, write it down and say, I know what the worst case scenario could be. And even if the worst case scenario happens, it's not going to kill me. I'll be better for it.
And that speaks to worth. If you're able to gift and bestow that upon somebody else, you've already upped your value. Yeah. You've already upped your worth because you became a mint and you minted your own currency in order to give it to somebody else. You're able to just,
that's awesome.
Yeah, you're able to just leave a legacy of something behind. Even if you felt worth less, you automatically build up a storehouse by being able to pour into somebody else. I love that.
That's so true. And it is exactly what you just said about others. And for so many of us, the reason why we fear putting ourselves out there or social settings, for example, is because we're so caught up in what people are thinking of us. And I just tell people the best way to handle that is to walk into every situation thinking to yourself, my job is to make others just feel comfortable and noticed. And I want everyone who I have a conversation with here today to feel valued. And then if I go in it with that, I don't even have time to fill my brain with, what do they think about my glasses, and is my hair the right way? Like, you don't even have time for that when you're like, I'm here to take care of you. Like, my job is to take care of you. It's like when you're a parent, when you bring home a new baby from the hospital, you know this, you don't think to yourself, am I doing this wrong? You just do it. Like, because you know your job is you think about that before the baby comes. But once the baby's there, you're like, I'm just doing this. I hope it's right, but I'm just doing this because it's my job to take care of this person. Because it doesn't matter how many times we say it. Like, and that's the thing, is it doesn't matter how many times a mantra is not going to help you. I am enough. I am valuable. I am lovable. That's all. It doesn't do us any good until we prove it to ourselves. And that takes courage. And if you've got courage, that means you also have fear.
Right.
Because we don't need courage unless we have fear. So yeah, you're going to be nervous about this, and you're going to be anxious about whatever this thing is. But you should do it, because it's not going to kill you. And you'll be better for it.
Absolutely.
But did you die?
Right.
Did you die? Right.
So many wonderful nuggets there. I want to take a little back step, just kind of talking about the fact of giving and how powerful that is for so many different things in our lives. And it's even shown that in the research that just by giving, just by doing something, an altruistic act for another human being, you both get this uptick in positive kind of healthy hormones in your body, which is really powerful. It's just enough to do it in and of itself. But you mentioned also without, breaking yourself down.
Yeah.
So I just want to kind of touch on that really quickly, because I know we've all had life experiences where we want to help, a loved one or, a family member or a friend, and then we end up like running ourselves dry. So we have to find that good kind of balance with that. So can you speak into that a little bit?
Yeah, I really struggled with this, and I can say in the last couple of years, and also through therapy, have been able to identify when I'm doing that. And to do that, I had to get to the root of why I was doing that. So my husband will tell you this. For most of my life, I've been a wounded bird collector.
Yeah.
Meaning if there's somebody who needs a loan and someone to call every single day and complain to, I'd be like, I'll volunteer, and so I would always find the person who was like going through the most devastating time, and then take on their problems, their family's problems, start to mentor them, give them money. And I kept doing this like repeatedly, and sure, that seems like, I don't know, maybe I was trying to be Mother Teresa, but I had to recognize the reason why I was doing it, number one. And number two, I had to recognize the effects it was having on my own family. Like, so if I'm giving someone else all of my energy and attention, I'm thinking about their problems and their business and their shortcomings, then I don't have that attention to give to my own family or to my own business. And so that was very motivating, number one. And number two is I had to be very honest about why I was doing that. And it wasn't just to be good. It was for the credit, for the pat on the back, for the, I wanted someone to say, you saved me, and I just had to realize, like, that doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen unless that person is moving forward too. So what I was doing at the time was carrying a lot of people, and now I will carry no one. I will walk next to you, even if you're shuffling, and I'll even like push you from time to time, but I just can't carry anyone anymore. And I have to get better at recognizing those signs. I know those signs. It's history, and it's asking someone to say, oh, okay, you want this from me? Cool. If you do this, then I know that you're as committed as I am. I can't care more than you care.
Yes.
I can't change you. So it's just really being okay with that, because you're not helping. As my friend Dr. Michaela will say, you will love someone to their grave if you do that, and addicts and people who they just have not learned to be self-sufficient. By doing things for them, we are teaching them nothing.
Yes. Chalene, you're just amazing. I said at the beginning, you're a powerhouse.
That's right.
Just so much awesomeness. And I just want to say thank you so much for the gifts that you're giving in the world, and just consistency. You're just an amazing human being, and you've worked on yourself, and you've also been able to help so many people. So you're just like, exploding with wisdom and good stuff. So thank you so much for everything. And I want to ask you this question I like to ask my guests, which is, what is the model or the example that you're here to set with the way that you're living your life?
that you have to be quiet and examine your actions and the motivation behind them and where it is you want to go and why. And I tell most people who are willing to listen that I used to set goals and teach goal mastery based on things I wanted to accomplish. And now I ask people to start with, how do you want to feel? You know, and I didn't want to feel like you say Gary Vaynerchuk, and I'm a fan of Gary's, but I don't ever want to hustle again.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to work 16 hours a day again.
Yeah.
I did that. And I got the things that were on my goals list, and I driving and lived in the house, but I didn't like the way I felt. I felt out of breath. I felt like it would never, ever, ever be enough. And I don't ever want to feel that way again. And now I want to feel everything I do. I ask myself, will this help me to feel peaceful? Will this help me to feel calm? Will this help me to feel like I'm doing the right thing each day? Will this help me to feel closer to God? Will this help me to feel closer to my children? And if the answer is no, well, then I have to find a more creative way to pay the bills that does allow me to do that.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Can you let everybody know where they can connect with you?
Sure. Well, I'd love for them to listen to my show. Of course, the Chalene Show is the category where I'm in health. And then I have, for those people who are perhaps entrepreneurs, I have a show called Build Your Tribe. And that's in the business category for podcasts. And of course, my website is chalenejohnson.com.
Sweetness. Awesome. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. And again, Chalene, thank you so much. I know we're going to do some more awesome stuff together because all you do is ooze awesomeness.
Ooze.
So everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the show today. Please go ahead and employ something that you learned today because, again, knowledge is not power. Knowledge applied is power. So take some of this stuff and just apply it to your life. Do the exercises, put it into play and see the results for yourself because that's really how you change your mind and thus change your life. Where your mind goes, the body will follow. So do some of the exercises. And I just want to thank you so much, and thank you for bearing with me with my voice for the past 2 episodes. I'll be back to 1,000,000,000% in the next episode, I promise you that. And please understand that you are appreciated and you matter, and I truly mean that. Thanks for tuning in. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk with you soon.